Hi, James here. Now, with our ever-increasing demand for consumer electronics comes a proportional and exponential increase in these things, cables. Now, we all get annoyed with these things, and unfortunately they are essential to make all of our devices work. But they seem to like breed or something. You put a few of them behind a desk or a cabinet, and you look 2 weeks later and there seems to be twice as many. Mental. Now, manufacturers have tried to get around this by doing such things as making as many things as possible wireless, but of course there's only so far you can go with that, and also trying to pack more features into a single device, so eliminating the need for many individual devices. But again, there's only so many features you can pack into a device before it starts to become a jack of all and a master of none. Now, if you're the purist type that go out and buy a TV because it's got absolutely everything built in, all you need is literally a power cable, and you've probably got an all-in-one PC with a wireless keyboard and mouse and built-in speakers, well, good for you. But if you go out and buy devices specifically just because they haven't got any cables, then that is just mental, because you end up in a situation where you pay a lot more than you probably would have done, and well, it can't do this and it can't do that, and in the future it can't do the other. But hey, it's got no cables to worry about, right? Well, that's just ridiculous. You could have brought something that suits your needs now and will suit your needs in maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 years into the future. When you want to connect something else, you can, because it has the connections for it. Most people would rather just do that and then just manage the cables and get something that's fit for purpose and probably pay a lot less than you did. Now, most people don't worry about cable management, and for those people you end up with this. It's like some sort of germ. It just spreads and discharges from the back end of everything like some sort of wiry hemorrhoids. Now, I could play the part of the pretentious bellend whose cable management is neat and perfect, but then I'd be a little bit of a hypocrite, because my cable management is actually quite crap. So if, like me, you've got a multicoloured pubic bush hiding behind every surface waiting to burst out like a lycra-clad 1970s porn star, then it's about time you did something about it. Now, cable management solutions are usually quite convoluted and very expensive, but thankfully some of the most simple and cheap solutions are usually the best, and that's where these things come in. Now, you've probably seen these things before. They're basically just strips of Velcro, and you wrap these around cables and it keeps them nice and neat. Now, I got these from Amazon and they were very cheap, $6.99 for 100. Now, they come already grouped together like this, so I'm assuming there's 100 there. I'm not actually going to check, I'll just take their word for it. The thing is, I hope that these things are counted out and bunched together like this by a machine, because if not, someone has got the shittest job in the world. But the bottom line is, even if there's only like 95 here, for $6.99 I don't really care. They do come in different colours. I got blue because blue is a nice contrast for black cables, and a melting pot of colours is a good embodiment of trust and an empowerment that purges the deep evil of social injustice. Is what I would say if I was a complete pompous knobhead, but because I'm not, no particular reason, I just fancied getting blue ones. So the first thing I'm going to do is tackle the pubic gremlin that lives behind the TV cabinet. Now, this is quite a simple setup I've got here. I've got a PlayStation 3 at the bottom. Yes, I have an archaic console, but if I go out and spend 350 quid on a PS4, it'd be a waste. I could go out and spend 350 quid on a big box of black rubber dicks and it'd probably get just as much use. I don't play computer games because they're a complete waste of life, and I only really use this one to play DVDs and Blu-rays, and I don't even buy those anymore because they're shit and a waste of money. So this is actually more of an ornament, to be honest with you. And moving up, we've got my Sky satellite box, got soundbar and TV. Just a full HD TV, mind, not 4K. At the time when they first came out, I was interested in 4K, but the thing is, at the time I didn't really want to invest £1,000 into a TV to watch looped cinematic clips of cityscapes and trees, because, you know, it's no point investing in a technology that none of your media can actually utilise. But the thing is, more things are coming 4K ready now, so I think now is a good time to actually invest in a 4K TV, and I'll do so in due course. I also have my modem router back here as well. Now bear in mind that all of these things have to be connected to the internet, or at least a network, otherwise they're about as useful as a dickless rabbit. Now Wi-Fi is okay, but it's unpredictable sometimes, and for high bitrate applications it usually sucks massive monkey wang. Now also I've got an AirPlay device under here as well. That needs network power and audio, and to actually connect all of this to the network I've got an 8-port gigabit switch under there as well, because there isn't enough ports on my router. Not only that, I'm not using that as a normal router, it's actually coming from the feed in the loft. I'll explain that a bit later on as we get into it. So obviously you know there's going to be loads of cables behind there, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. So let's crack on and see what we can do. Right then, here we go. You ready? Fuck my boots, it's worse than I remember. Slight temptation just to push this cabinet back and forget that I ever started this video. That's lazy, innit? I need to do it. Right, here we go then. Now before we start doing any kind of cable management work, there's one very important thing that we have to do first. This is a technique that's used by pretty much all home cinema and cable TV installers. What you need to do, you need to get yourself some cable. Doesn't matter what sort of cable it is, just make sure you've got enough of it that you can kind of coil it into a loop like this, and you need to put your head through it like that and wear it. This is very important because this denotes to everyone else in the room that you're better than them because you're wearing the cable of knowledge. Okay, it's very important, remember that. Oh, really? I've got to crawl around on my knees, I don't like this. Right then, here we go. So first of all, pair of giant wire cutters in the bin. Now on a serious note, the key to making a start with something like this is to actually eliminate cables that you don't actually need. There's usually always some sort of cable that's hanging around behind here that's not actually in use. It's probably because you've changed something over and you just never took the old cable out. And there's always like, you know, like an old SCART lead or something hanging around behind here. I don't even use SCART. In fact, I don't even remember the last time I actually had anything that used SCART. So I don't need that, that can go. Now the key to good cable management is to actually make your cables the right length, okay, so don't get cables that are too long. Now for things like Ethernet cables, this is actually fine because you can actually snip those and make them to the exact length that you need them very, very easily. Now for things like HDMI cables, optical cables, power leads, that's not as plausible. So what you have to try and do is get cables that are almost the length that you need. Don't fall into the trap of buying leads that are far too long, because then you've just got to bundle it and ravel it up behind there, and that is what actually makes more of a mess than the amount of cables. There's not actually that many cables here, believe it or not. It's just because they're all bundled together and nested that they all you know, look messy. So things like coax leads, for example, try and make one yourself rather than buying a pre-made length, because then you can make it to the exact length you need and then it's not coiled up behind here. And as well as that, try and limit the amount of cables that you actually use by trying to do the same thing with less cables. So for example, this soundbar supports something called ARC, which stands for Audio Return Channel. Now most TVs nowadays have at least one HDMI port that supports Audio Return Channel. What this means is that the HDMI connector, as well as having audio in, it also has one lot of audio out channels as well. So as well as getting your AnyNet Plus features through the HDMI lead, it also spits audio back down that cable, so you don't need to actually run a separate audio cable from the TV to the soundbar. And most of them actually have pass-through, so you can get your satellite receiver box, plug it into the soundbar, then it will go through the soundbar into the TV, so you save yourself a cable. So if you can do things like that, research, look up your equipment, find out what it can and can't do, then if you work things like that out, you can actually use less cables. Right then, there's nothing for it. I've just got to kind of get stuck in then and start unplugging stuff and getting cables untangled. That's a good start. And also take advantage of some of the cable management that's actually built into your equipment. For example, this TV actually has a little strap on the back here, so I can actually put the cables through and strap those up. And what that means is all of these cables are now strapped to the center of the TV, so when the cables run down the middle here, they're actually hidden behind the stem of the stand there. So that's quite handy. Now another thing I've got to contend with is this Chromecast. Now I've actually saved myself having a power plug in the wall by actually taking power from the USB port on the back of the TV. But the only problem is this USB cable now is all bunched up behind here and it's a bit of a mess. And also this Chromecast actually sticks out the side and you can see that from the front of the TV and it looks pretty minging. So one thing you could do here is actually ditch the cable that they supply with it because it's far too long, and basically use a couple of these little flexible HDMI adapters. So we can just pop that into there, pop that in the side there, and we don't need a long cable now because we've only got to literally go from there to there. So rather than using the one they've supplied, I've got this really short USB cable, so I can literally just plug that into there, and then I can wrap that around some of these, and then literally I can use that USB socket there, if I get it the right way around, like that. And a presto, there you go. Now it's hidden and behind the TV, so if you look from the front you're not actually going to see that, and you haven't got a big bundle of USB cable around the back here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's actually very easy to make these Ethernet cables yourself, so you can custom make them to the length that you need. Now that's what I'm actually going to do here. I've got a load of these RJ45 connectors, a load of Cat5 cable and the tools for the job. So I'm going to make up a load of custom lengths, exactly the length that I need. I'm going to mount the network switch flat on the back of the unit here with the ports facing upwards, so that it's easily accessible. I can just lean down the back of the cabinet and plug in if I need to, but also it keeps it off the floor so it doesn't get all dust in the ports, and also it doesn't get crushed or something underneath there. Incidentally, cheap versions of these tools are available online, very, very cheap. If you go on eBay, you can pick up a pair of these crimpers for literally under a £5. And also as well, these connectors are literally 10 to the penny, and this cable is about 20p a meter. So I'm actually going to do another video, a separate video, showing you how to make these cables yourself, because it's something that you should always try and do, because you get them exactly the length you need, and that is so handy, and it's such an easy thing to do, so why not? I'm actually cringing while doing this because this TV cabinet actually cost me a lot of money, and here I am just kind of like flippantly chewing screws into the back of it. But it's fine, it's for the greater good, it's got to be done. Right, line that up, swish. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice. So that's all going to be nice and neat on the back there. Because of the skirting, this TV cabinet actually doesn't go right back to the wall, so this will actually leave a little bit of clearance. That'll be fine. So spot on. So now I'm going to start making up some leads to go to the various things like the skybox and the thing down there, whatever that's called. AirPlay, the AirPlay device, and the TV, PlayStation, and soundbar. Cool. So that's yeah, 5 ports. Cool. Right, okay, let's get going. I've got some nice equipment there to test all the cabling, and I'm not actually going to use it. So because I'm not at work and I'm not in professional mode, I'm going to test this cable the old-fashioned way. Oh, yep, that's connected. Good. Okay, so that's one down. All right, another one done. Let's just test it the old-fashioned way. Or is it the redneck way? I can't remember. One of the two. Now, rather annoyingly, this doesn't actually have any fixing holes on the bottom, so you can hang this on screws. So to put this on, I'm going to use some very professional and specialist engineering putty. And I'm going to use that to stick it on. And you can't just go to your local newsagents and buy this stuff. It's very, very specialist stuff. Right, on you go. Wow, I never actually thought that was going to work. Bloody hell, if that stays on there, I'll be amazed. All right then. There you go. I surprise even myself. You saw it here first, because no one would actually believe you that that worked. So by the magic of editing, ta-da, there you go, as if by magic and all that crap. It's not actually magic, is it? It's just a jump cut. Liars. Okay, so I've actually got my VDSL broadband cable here as well. I could probably just run that through there as well, actually. That'd be neat, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll do that. Now, bearing in mind, this is actually just regular telephone cable, and this is wrong, okay, because all the experts online will tell you that this should be twisted pair cable, because otherwise what can happen is the decontinuum transfunctional transponder can decombobulate and cause the massive uprise of deep-seated urban decay. So that's very important you don't do that, because of course, you know, you've got 5 miles of cable running from the exchange to your house, which is crappy old telephone cable from the 1950s. So of course this last few meters is going to make all the difference in the world. So, you know, it's very important that you listen to the experts online. Sorry, I had to pick on the snake oil scammers there. It makes me laugh every time I hear that. Let me tell you, you might fool everyone else, but you ain't fooling this fool. Because I actually used to work for Openreach, and I used to work in the exchanges maintaining the equipment that supplies broadband to your house. And even now I still actually do contract work for them. So yeah, trust me, you ain't fooling me. I'm not going to buy your silly cables thinking that it's going to speed up my internet. Right, let's get all that old shite out of the way. Look at the state of my jeans. They cost me $9.99, you know. That's why I always buy cheap jeans, because I always do crap like this in them and they get shagged within a week. Right, there you go. Have you ever seen cable management as good as that? And if you say yes, then fuck you. No, I'm only joking, guys. Now, on a serious note, I'm not going to start getting all excited over some bits of Velcro, but I have to say, these are actually genuinely very good. And as you can see, I mean, they're definitely fit for purpose. They do the job. And they actually feel pretty decent, like considering they're only cheap. They're quite sturdy, and the Velcro on them is actually quite sticky, like they wouldn't accidentally sort of ping open if you was to pull on the wire or whatever. But yeah, they actually feel pretty decent. So literally for what they cost, I actually recommend these. They're very good. Now, one other bit of cable management trickery that I did have before doing this video is this thing, and essentially it's just a piece of fabric tube, and it's got a zip on it, and you put all your cables inside, obviously, so all the cables come out the sockets on the wall, and you just put your cables all the way down, do the zip up, and then you've got like a little fabric tube to keep all your cables in, which is actually a little bit neater than just having all the cables kind of bunched. So there you go, that's quite neat. And as you can see from the front, it looks absolutely no different. How good is that? There you go, there's to a job well done. Got myself a nice hot cup of tea. I think I've earned that, don't you? After spending all my evening crawling around in the dust and shite behind there. But at least it's done now, and although you can't really see it from here, at least, you know, I know it's there and you know it's done now. So, and also if I ever do need to sort of alter anything or take anything away, or if when I do get that new 4K TV, at least it's going to be easier to modify the wiring, because I can just literally pull the the Velcros off, pull the wires out, do what I need to do, and then put it all back. So there you go. Now, I will put a link in the description to the Amazon page that I got these things from. Now, do bear in mind that I am not affiliated with the company that sells these things in any way. They're not paying me any money to do this. They didn't send me these. I brought these with my own money, and I did all this off my own steam, okay? So I'm not making anything out of this. So if you do click that link, you know, I'm not going to make any money off of it or anything. I just put the link there just in case you are interested in getting any of these, because they are genuinely pretty decent. So there you go, hope you've enjoyed that, and if you do enjoy my videos, feel free to subscribe, the button's down there. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up, and if you've got any questions or constructive criticism, bung it in the comments section below, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. So there you go, hope you enjoyed, thank you for watching, nice one.